All right, everybody, buckle up. Today, we're cracking open this Go-to-Market Maven campaign strategy accelerator. Apparently, it's like the secret sauce, the recipe for a Fortune 500 launch, all in 48
It's
hours.
a bold claim, for sure.
Right. What really hooked me, though, is this idea that even established businesses, the big players, might be missing out on something crucial. Like, what if everyone's going about this whole go-to-market thing the wrong way?
It makes you wonder, doesn't it? The thing that struck me was the blend of speed and, well, actual strategy, especially with how they're using AI.
AI, huh? Okay, before we go full-on tech talk, let's bring our listener up to speed. What exactly are we talking about when we say go-to-market strategy? I mean, it's got to be more than just, hey, we made a product.
Right. Think of it like a roadmap. You've got this great idea, right? The go-to-market strategy. That's how you navigate from that initial spark to getting it in front of the right people at the right time with the right message, of course. It's the whole shebang orchestrated for a successful launch and beyond, ideally.
And this playbook, this Maven thing, it's all about doing that
Yeah.
fast, like crazy fast, 48 hours to build a whole strategy. I don't know, part of me thinks that's got to be cutting corners somewhere.
I hear you. But here's the interesting bit.
Yeah.
It's not about replacing human insight. It's about like supercharging it. Think of an architect. Yeah, they've got these incredible visions, but they use software to bring those visions to life. That's what the Maven seems to be doing with AI.
So instead of drafting blueprints by hand, we've got algorithms churning out marketing plans.
Kind of. More like, imagine a super-powered research assistant working alongside a seasoned marketing strategist. You get the data crunching power of AI, but with that human touch still driving the strategy.
Okay, I'm starting to get it. But
Mhm.
80% guaranteed effectiveness. That's still a wild claim, even with AI holding the pen.
You and me both. No strategy is ever foolproof. Markets change, customers change, even competitors change their game plan. The thing that impressed me, though, was the emphasis on agile adaptation, building a strategy that can roll with the punches, adjust based on real-world feedback.
So not just a static plan, but something that can evolve.
Exactly. That's the key. It's about building in the flexibility to course correct as you go.
Okay, I can get behind that. But let's give our listeners something concrete to chew on here. How does this whole AI thing actually work in practice?
Let me give you an example. One of the things the Maven does is analyze your competition. We're talking about processing data from thousands of websites, social media posts, even customer reviews, and it does it all in minutes.
Okay, so mountains of data. But isn't that kind of useless if you don't know who you're trying to reach in the first place? It's like throwing a party and hoping someone, anyone, shows up.
You hit the nail on the head. That's why this playbook is so obsessed with understanding your ideal customer. They call them customer personas.
Personas, like they create little profiles.
Yeah, and they're incredibly detailed. We're not just talking demographics, but their motivations, pain points, even their aspirations. It's kind of like getting inside their heads.
So like instead of saying we target millennials,
Yeah.
you've got this detailed picture of like millennial Mike who loves craft beer and listens to true crime podcasts.
Exactly. They even have names for them and everything. One that jumped out at me was the time-crunched entrepreneur.
Ooh, I know a few of those.
Yeah.
Always running from meeting to meeting, checking their phone every 5 seconds.
Exactly. And the Maven talks about tailoring your message for each persona. Like for the time-crunched entrepreneur, you'd emphasize speed, simplicity, a high return on investment.
Because nobody's got time for a 3-hour sales pitch these days.
Precisely. It's about speaking their language, getting to the point quickly.
Okay, I'm liking this so far. We've got the speed, the AI-powered insights, and they're laser-focused on the target customer. But how do we know it's not all just talk? How does the Maven actually help businesses bridge that gap between a fancy plan and, real-world action?
One of the ways is by stressing the importance of building a feedback loop with your customers. It's not enough to just launch a product and hope for the best.
You need to stay engaged.
Absolutely. Listen to what your customers are saying and be ready to adapt based on that feedback.
Makes sense, but that sounds like a whole other job in itself.
Right, which is why the Maven actually gives you a framework for building that feedback loop. It even tells you which metrics to track beyond just sales, like customer lifetime value. That's the key to sustainable growth, after all.
Not just chasing quick wins, but building something that lasts. Okay, this is making me rethink my entire approach. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's pause for a moment. When we come back, I want to dig deeper into this whole 48-hour strategy thing. How does that actually work? Is it even possible?
Yeah.
And we're back. We're neck deep in this Go-to-Market Maven campaign strategy accelerator thing, trying to figure out if a 48-hour launch strategy is brilliant or bonkers.
Well, it's definitely ambitious.
That's one word for it. Before the break, we were talking about staying agile, listening to your customers. But how do you cram all that into 48 hours?
It's more like a sprint than a marathon, that's for sure. The playbook lays out a structured framework, helps you break down this potentially massive task into manageable steps.
Okay, so walk me through it. What are the major milestones in this 48-hour sprint?
First things first, clarity. You've got to know what you're aiming for. What's the ultimate goal of your go-to-market strategy? More brand awareness, generating leads, raking in those sweet, sweet sales.
Right, got to have a destination in mind before you start navigating.
Exactly. Once you've nailed down your goals, then you can really dive deep into your target customer. This is where those detailed customer personas we talked about come into play.
So none of that vague, we target millennials stuff.
Nope, got to get specific. The Maven really pushes you to think about where these people hang out, what they're reading, watching, listening to, what makes them tick, what keeps them up at night.
Sounds like they're going for a deep, almost creepy level of understanding.
Well, the deeper the understanding, the better the message. And that's the next step, crafting those core messages that will be at the heart of your strategy.
So we're talking taglines, elevator pitches, that sort of thing.
Exactly. And this is where storytelling comes in. You can have all the facts and figures in the world, but a good story, a narrative that connects on an emotional level, that's what people remember.
Because facts tell, but stories sell.
Mm-hmm.
Give us an example. How would a company actually use storytelling in their go-to-market strategy?
Okay. Say you're launching a new line of sustainable clothing. You could just talk about the eco-friendly fabrics and ethical production, right? Or you could tell the story of the founder, their passion for the environment, their journey to building this brand that reflects their values.
Suddenly, it's not just a t-shirt, it's a statement.
Exactly. People connect with that. It makes your brand more relatable, more human.
Okay, so we've got our goals, we understand our customer, we've got a killer story to tell. What's next?
Time to size up the competition.
Ooh, things are getting juicy. So this is where we figure out who we're up against.
It's more about understanding the landscape, really. The Maven walks you through identifying your competitors, figuring out their strengths and weaknesses, and then finding those gaps where you can differentiate yourself.
Finding your niche, that sweet spot where you excel and the customer is underserved.
You got it. And once you've got a handle on the competitive landscape, you can start making strategic decisions about how you'll actually reach your target audience. That's where you figure out which marketing channels to use.
So are we thinking social media blitzkrieg? Or maybe an old-fashioned PR campaign, carrier pigeons, skywriting.
Hey, whatever works. The key is to choose the channels where your audience is actually spending their time.
All right, got to go where the people are. This 48-hour sprint is starting to sound less like a mad dash and more like a well-choreographed dance. Intense, but organized.
I like that analogy. It's about compressing the essential elements of strategic planning into a short, focused time frame.
We've covered a lot. Goals, customer insights, storytelling, even competitive analysis. That's a lot to process. But before we move on, I have to ask, this playbook, it's clearly gung-ho about technology, especially AI. But where does the human element fit in? Are we at risk of becoming too reliant on data and losing that creative spark? Welcome back, Deep Divers. We've been getting our hands dirty with this Go-to-Market Maven campaign strategy accelerator, seeing if this whole 48-hour launch plan is marketing gold or just, well, hype.
We've talked theory, we've talked frameworks, even AI fortune telling, but nothing beats seeing it in action, right?
Absolutely. So hit me with it. Who's out there crushing it in the go-to-market arena? I want real-world examples. Companies that are like, hold my kombucha, watch this.
All right. Let's talk about PlantCraft. They're in the plant-based food space, which is booming, but also super crowded.
Yeah, everyone and their grandma's got a vegan burger these days.
Right, so how do you stand out? PlantCraft, they get it. They're not just selling vegan, they're tapping into the values of their target customer.
Because slapping a green label on something doesn't automatically make it a hit anymore, especially with younger generations.
Exactly. PlantCraft understands that their audience, millennials, Gen Z, they care about the whole package. Sustainability, ethical sourcing, the whole 9 yards.
So they didn't just jump on the bandwagon, they built their whole brand around it. Exactly. They went all in on sustainable practices, they partnered with local farmers, used compostable packaging, and they made sure everyone knew about it.
walk the walk and talk the talk, right?
Exactly. Their website, their social media, even the product packaging itself, all told a consistent story about who they are and what they stand for.
Smart move, because people can spot a phony from a mile away. Okay, Plantcraft, you've got our attention. What other go-to-market rock stars are out there?
All right, this one's a bit different. 80 Spark. They're an online coding platform for kids.
Okay, that's a tough market. So much competition. How'd they break through the noise?
They realized something crucial. Their target customer wasn't just the kids, it was the parents.
Appealing to the gatekeepers.
Right. 80 Spark did their homework, they talked to parents, figured out what they were worried about.
Which is,
Kidding.
besides their kids turning into screen-addicted zombies.
Well, there's that, but also this fear that their kids won't be prepared for the future job market. You know, this whole everything's about technology thing.
So Edie Spark swooped in with a solution. Don't worry, parents. We'll make sure your kid can code their way to a six-figure salary before they graduate high school.
Well, not exactly. They emphasized the importance of coding, of course, but they also made it fun.
Because forcing kids to learn Java syntax is probably not going to win over too many parents.
Exactly. And they went all in on influencer marketing, partnering with those parenting bloggers and YouTubers who have a ton of influence in this space.
Smart move. Go straight to the source of truth, or at least the source of parenting advice.
Right. And it worked. Spark saw their brand awareness skyrocket, and more importantly, their course registrations went through the roof.
Okay, influencer marketing for the win.
Yeah.
But we'd be remiss if we didn't circle back to AI. It's been the elephant in the room this whole time. Are there any companies out there using AI in their go-to-market strategy that'll just blow our minds?
Oh, absolutely. I've got just the one. AI Apparel. They're an online clothing retailer, but they're using AI to personalize the shopping experience like you wouldn't believe.
Okay, I'm picturing those. You might also like suggestions, but like on steroids.
Way beyond that. Think. An algorithm that analyzes everything. Your browsing history, your past purchases, even your social media, to create a style profile just for you.
So like having a personal stylist in the cloud?
Exactly. And it's not just a gimmick. Their conversion rates are through the roof. People are finding stuff they actually love, and they're buying more of it.
That's the dream. It's not just about personalization. It's about personalization that converts.
Exactly. And if people still need help, they can always chat with a human stylist.
The best of both worlds. Okay, this has been eye-opening, but I'm sure some of our listeners are feeling a bit overwhelmed. We've covered so much. Where should someone even start if they want to revamp their own go-to-market game?
That's where the Maven really shines, because it brings it back to the fundamentals.
Back to basics.
Exactly. Ask yourself, why? Why should anyone care about what you're selling? What problem are you solving better than anyone else?
Find your why. Love it. What's next?
Who are you trying to reach? Not just their demographics, but their dreams, their fears, their aspirations.
Getting their heads right. We talked about that.
Yeah. And finally, how? How are you going to reach them? What's the message that will resonate? What are the channels where they're actually hanging out?
The why, the who, and the how. I like it.
It's like a recipe. The right ingredients combined in the right way. And like any good recipe, you might have to tweak it along the way. Be ready to experiment, adapt, and learn as you go.
Because the market waits for no one. This has been an amazing deep dive. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today.
It's been my pleasure.
And to all our listeners, remember, a successful launch isn't about luck. It's about strategy, adaptability, and a little bit of that go-to-market magic. So go out there, make some noise, and as always, keep diving deep.